Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, doing well this morning, guys. How y'all doing?
We're good.
We're doing great. I want to give you the opportunity just to tell our listeners, and I don't want to try to do it for you. I know the settlement has come down. They made some mighty nice remarks about you, and you got some things that you indicated that you wanted made public. So if you want to, just tell our listeners what you need to tell them.
Well, the biggest thing, Coach, you and I talked about it, a few months ago, that it just wanted to clear my name, and I didn't have a notice of allegation from the NCAA, and it's just hurtful, when you see it for the last 3 or 4 years going across the screen that I had the majority of violations. So I'm just glad all that's behind us. I wish Ole Miss the best, and let's go forward. And the bottom line is, everything's good. They apologize, and let's move on down the road.
Okay, that's good. Barry?
Coach, Alabama, they took care of Arkansas pretty good, beat them 41-9, got to play everybody again, so everybody's happy again. You got Tennessee coming in. The line pops up. Dick Saban's been talking about rat poison. And here in Vegas, they make them a 34-point favorite. I guess they're trying to get bets on both sides. You ever seen a scenario where a conference team is a 34-point underdog, but Nick Saban's using past games, the rivalry, to get his team ready to play? I think Nick Saban does the best job of any coach I can ever remember having his team ready to play regardless of the situation. Because if you look at Clemson, they weren't ready to play against Syracuse. I don't know why they were playing on a Friday night anyway. I'm sure they didn't have anything to do with it. It was a TV deal. But Nick Saban always has these guys ready to go. Now, I understand he's got the best talent, but for some reason he pushes the right button. I just want to get you to comment about that. And this 34-point line, have you ever seen anything like that?
I never did worry about the lines too much, trying to get a team ready to go. But I tell you, you're right about this, Barry, that Coach Saban is probably the best at getting his team ready to go. Clemson, they weren't ready, and they were sleepwalking. And it just takes that one game, where you just think all you got to do is roll your helmets out. And when your team reads about, well, you're going to beat them by 20, you're going to beat them by 30, you're going to beat them by 40, and then they go away from that locker room, away from that meeting room, and they live next to someone, and they're getting the wrong, as Coach Saban was called, this rat poison from media and from different people. They're filtered in with, all I got to do is just kind of show up, and you can't. You got to be ready to go each and every week. The other team doesn't have to be better than you 10 weeks or 8 weeks. All they got to do is be better than you for 60 minutes and get a couple of turnovers here and there, and you have a penalty at the wrong time, and all of a sudden you look up in the fourth quarter, you're in a real fight. So saying all that, right now Alabama's just so much better. They're just so much better, and they got it going defensively like they always do, and then offensively they're getting better. So I right now, the separation, guys. I mean, it's Alabama up there, way, way up there, and then it's a big separation. Auburn has a good defense. Georgia looks good. They got a good defense, and they're getting better on offense. But it's going to be hard for Tennessee, guys. It's just going to be hard for them.
Yeah, I was watching that Clemson game with a buddy of mine, and when it ended, I said, ooh, that's bad for Arkansas because Nick Saban will get those guys in a room now, and Coach Nutt, it gives him a talking point right there. They could see it. They weren't ready to play, so that gives the coaching staff something they could talk to their players about, another thing to help them get ready. Guys use that all the time, don't they, Coach?
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And you're right. When Arkansas really probably caught them at the wrong time, and it could have been much worse. It was like a spring game, really, when you look at it, because from the very first play, when Damian Harris took that ball and went 75 yards, oh my goodness! I mean, lights out. And when you can own the line of scrimmage, that's the difference. When you can win in the trenches, offensive line, when you dominate, and the defensive line you dominate, you're ahead of the game. And then remember now, Alabama's not like they hadn't had any injuries. I mean, they lost linebackers, 2 or 3 linebackers the first week. You lose a Deshaun Hand, and he can say next.
He says next better than anybody, Houston, Dad.
I know.
Houston, I don't know if this is a good question or not. It's good for me because I can't figure it out. Tennessee has gone quarter after quarter after quarter not being able to score. Oh, I don't care on the defensive side or offensive side. They can't score. When you go in as an offensive staff Saturday after that game and you work all week trying to get ready, do you change plays? I guess that's a stupid way to say it. Do you change formations? Do you take players and move them around? The quarterback's going to stay as he is. He's a little bit better. What do you do to try to do you look at the defense of what South Carolina did to you to keep that from working? How do you handle that?
That's a great question, Coach, because when you look at Tennessee, I want to go back to last year a little bit. Really, the East has been down. And so Tennessee expects championships. I really expected Tennessee to be in a championship game last year. You had Dobbs, you had Kamara, you really had some talent there. And then so I look at this year, and it's Kelly. Kelly's their guy. And you got to get the ball in his hands. And seemed like they were running him the first half, didn't run him as much the second half. I don't understand that. Again, I'm not in that meeting room, so I don't know what they're really looking at. But that's where it all takes place. I mean, that's the lab of, hey, this is what we have to do. We got to get the ball in our the hands of our best players.
Yeah.
And the best player they have is Kelly. And it's got to be frustrating for Bush Jones. You score 9 points. South Carolina is not that good right now, guys. I mean, I just, for the life of me, I don't know. But to me, again, it starts at quarterback, and they make a switch with Ontario. The new guy's a little bit more athletic, and he played, fairly well. But, again, the guy that makes the difference is Kelly. Find ways to get him the ball, be physical, come downhill, and then you play action off of it, or bootleg, move the quarterback. But there's got to be where there's 2 or 3 your main runs that you can run versus any front. I don't care what they put up there. We're going to be able to block these fronts and give the ball to our best guy. And then off of that, a bootleg, a waggle, a play action where they have to respect the run, and you come off that, you're going to be able to have some windows and some one-on-one. So to me, we always try to attack it. Are they too deep? If they're too deep, hey, we're going to be able to run. If they're one high, hey, look, we got some one-on-one throws, and if they're going to overpopulate the line of scrimmage, let's go downfield. And then maybe as a starter, a drive starter, you got to reverse. You got to fake a dive and flip it around somebody on a speed sweep. You do something to keep them off balance.
I before Barry gets on, I'll take his time. But the most interesting thing to me in offensive football was what Jarrett Stidham said. He said that when he was working at Baylor, he was a quarterback at Baylor, they had their plays on a little bitty index card. There wasn't enough plays to say grace over. They didn't have anything. They had 5 plays, and they ran the same ones over and over. When he gets to Auburn, they're much more complicated. I'm not trying to coach Auburn. They get more complicated, and they do. And to me, it was so interesting to hear him say, I always thought the more offense I had, the better I was, and I was dead wrong. He had very little. They had good players at Baylor when he was there, but that's a kind of a different philosophy there, isn't it?
I like it. When everybody knows what to do. You can execute it. You can do it like you're on automatic pilot. When you're out there thinking, Coach, you know how that goes. When you're thinking, you're slower. You're not going to move as quick. You're hesitant. I like when we know, Mike Leach has about a 3x5 index card, and he has about 5 plays. But they know what to do, and they know how to adjust. If you do this, everybody's on the same page. I think sometimes less is more, and less is better.
Yeah, good point, Barry.
Yeah, you look at Auburn, they jump out to a 20-0 lead. The thing gets to, I think, 23-14 at the half. What happens at halftime? Did LSU just do that good of a job of making adjustments? I think Auburn threw for 6 yards in the second half, or did Auburn coaches not do a good job of building on what they had done in the first half to be able to continue it in the second half? Jarrett Stidham says they don't allow him to change plays at the huddle. At the line of scrimmage. So does that handcuff him? Just kind of break that down from first half to second half there, Houston.
Well, when it starts out 20-0, I think this is over. It's going to be a long day for LSU. But you've got to give it to LSU, and I think they did make some big-time adjustments at halftime. And their defense just did a fabulous job of changing the game. And, when you look at Auburn, how can things be going so smooth for one quarter and then you don't see it anymore? And you got to be able to do some things to make this thing happen for Jarrett Stidham to be making some of the quotes that y'all been reading to me. There's some problems right there. So this is going to be interesting now when they go take their game now on the road to Arkansas. I really expect them to get zeroed in on, again, about 3 or 4 runs for Kerryon Johnson and Cameron Petway, get them going heavily in the run, and then you're able to make some big-time throws down the field if you can get the run going. So I just think you got to be able to adjust, but the bottom line is this, guys. Whoever runs the ball the best and whoever stops the run the best, I don't care if it's Pee Wee, I don't care if it's junior high or NFL, that's the team that's going to win.
Yeah, Auburn travels to Arkansas this weekend. How is the Arkansas fan base there now in Houston? What kind of atmosphere will they have there? Will they be ready to help their team get ready to play Auburn, or are they going to hope the team maybe can get the fans ready? What kind of atmosphere do we have around that program right now?
Well, they're not feeling good. Fans are a little down. They're not feeling good at all, and they expected much more coming into the season. So they'll show up now. That's the thing. They'll show up. Now, they may leave at halftime, but they're going to show up. And this is a big game, another big game. They expected more at South Carolina. Of course, you can go back all the way to TCU at home. They expected that to be a win. So Austin Allen's not playing, guys. He's hurt. And so you got the big guy, Kelly, coming in there. He's not real mobile, but he is 6'7", 250-ish. And he's a big guy. Throws pretty good. But so here's the bottom line. I don't know who your tailback is. Who's the difference maker? I don't know. Who's the difference maker at wide receiver? I don't know. And so that makes it hard on a quarterback. If he can't distribute the ball to these difference makers, what is it? And so that's what gets behind the count. And Arkansas is going against a very good defense in Auburn. Auburn's been pretty steady up until probably last weekend. They gave away some big plays, but they've been pretty steady all year long. So this is going to be a very tough chore for Arkansas. And the fans are starting to grumble now, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I've tried in my mind to compare Georgia and Alabama because I know that's what's going to happen. And it's too early to do that, but I'll do it anyway. Georgia's got 2 really good running backs. I mean, and they got a quarterback who, for a freshman, uses his brain pretty good, and is pretty athletic. Won't that be an interesting game for each team to get ready to play if that happens?
No doubt about it, Coach. You take Kirby Smart, who's of course been a long-time assistant for Coach Saban, has the same type of blueprint. Georgia has really looked good defensively, guys. They are quick. They're athletic. They go to Notre Dame and win. Notre Dame's a good football team, guys. They go to Notre Dame, win that one. That was huge. And to me, they've gotten better. And then you take a freshman quarterback like Jake Fromm. You take him, and I think he's really had ice water in his veins. I've been kind of surprised how he handles the bright lights. I think he's done an excellent job. I know Jacob Eason was highly recruited. He's trying to work his way back, but they can't make that move right now. Jake Fromm's doing it. But here's what he has. He has a great defense. They get the ball back to him. And what does he have, guys? It goes back to what we've been talking about. He can turn around the backfield and look at who? Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. Get the ball to them. That's his best friends as a young quarterback. And then now your eyes are on these guys, and now all he has to do is show the ball to Nick Chubb, and you're going to have 7 to 8 guys saying, they've been taught all week, we got to tackle Nick Chubb. We got to tackle Nick Chubb. And then now you got the ball, the pass plays that you want that are simple. Old button hooks, curls, speed outs, comebacks, and flags, and take a shot. Once a quarter, we're going to go deep. So I like the way Georgia, and you're right, Coach. I think they're on a collision course. That's going to be a good game.
Houston, you always say, don't knock a guy out because of injuries. because give him his job back. But there are sometimes that's what you're supposed to say, but that ain't what you're supposed to do. I mean, you're supposed to do it, but you can't do it because other guys played so darn well. You want to do what's fair because the guy got hurt, but at the same time, you got a different kind of team. Hey, my point in that is that's impossible to handle in the right way.
You're right, Coach. You got a good young man who's done everything you ask him to do. He gets hurt. Bless his heart, it's not his fault. But here's the bottom line. That coach is paid to do what? Win. And that winning right now is with Jake Fromm. And so what you have to do is call Jacob in. Hey, Jacob, man, I hate that you got hurt. I appreciate everything you're doing. I love how hard you're working. Stay focused. I want you to have mental rest because, listen, you're a play away right now. You're one play away. And, you'll try to get him in right now, but you're right. You can't make that switch right now. They believe in this guy. They're winning. You can't mess with winning.
Houston, you just made it go through my mind when you said you're standing at quarterback. You look back, you got Nick Chubb, you got Michelle, you got back there. Boy, that recruiting, that's a big deal. You look back there, you want to thank that assistant coach so good that signed those guys. Recruiting that's what it's all about, isn't it, Houston?
It's the lifeline. It's the lifeline to any program, man. It's your lifeline. And I think about some of the guys that I had with Darren McFadden, Peyton Hillis, and Felix Jones. And I got criticized a lot for not throwing with Mitch Mustang at some time. And again, when you got players that had laps around the track, that have experience, it's that quarterback's best friend, And it's just so important, the recruiting, and it seems like it starts earlier every year where it's year-round now. It used to be seasonal back in the day when I first got started. When I was working for Jimmy Johnson, it was seasonal. But what I mean with that is spring ball, get spring ball. It's kickoff time, great. And then after the season, you go recruit. Well, now, my gosh, boy, you got to know about them in the 10th grade, 11th grade. Are they coming to camp? You got the recruiting services out there. So you got to stay up with it, social media. I mean, it's a big-time deal, and it's 24/7.
No doubt.
Well, Barry sort of got on me the other day. He said, I saw your North Carolina game on television. Good grief, all the players you had. I said, Barry, I never did like to play with bad players.
I didn't get on you. I
always felt like that. I liked it a lot better to play with good players.
I wasn't getting on you. I was shocked. How did you get that many players to come play? Houston, before I let you go, I got to get your opinion on this. The NCAA, North Carolina, I mean, that took 5, 6, 7 years. I'm not saying I wanted them to get punished, but to take that long, spend that much money, then come back and say there's no penalty? Come on, Houston.
Yeah, I know. I won't stay in my lane, man. I don't know anything.
All right.
I've had enough lawsuits and all that. I will let y'all handle that.
I got
I don't
you.
understand it. I
mean, my point is, it doesn't. Why does it take 5 or 6 years to say you had? If the school's in charge of the academics, you knew that the first week.
Well, they were studying.
Oh, my bad. Oh, Condoleezza Rice will clean it up. All right, never mind. Thanks, Houston.
Thank you, Houston.
Appreciate it. I know. I had to get your opinion, but I respect you wanting to stay in your lane right now. So
I'm gonna stay in my lane, my man.
All right.
Thank